Yo everybody, what's going on? This is Keegan from Kman Reviews. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that like and the subscribe button, and if you have any opinions at all that you would like to share, make sure to leave them down in the comment section. JID, the Forever Story. JID is an American rapper, singer, songwriter, best known for being affiliated with J. Cole as a part of the Dreamville Collective. However, over the past 4 years or so, I'd say he's really beginning to come into his own as a titan in the rap scene with his killer wordplay and bold yet funky take on modern hip-hop. I've been following his career for a good few years now, mainly around when DiCaprio 2 released, and have been eagerly awaiting the follow-up, and here it is, The Forever Story, being a conceptual sequel to his debut album, The Never Story. And you know what? Let's not waste any more time. Let's just dive in. What are my thoughts on The Forever Story? Let's find out as I review it track by track. We will start with the singles, with there being 2 of them. The first being Surround Sound featuring 21 Savage and Baby Tate, which, yeah, this track is absolutely fantastic. The beat is a simple yet hard-hitting mix of rattling hi-hat, crashing bass, and little plucky accoutrements all in front of this looped soul singer sample. It's not a mind-blowing beat by any means, but it's what all 3 of the performers do over it that makes the track spectacular. Let's start with JID, who sounds like he hasn't changed a day in the 4 years between this and his last album, DiCaprio 2. His charisma and flow are impeccable as always, extremely coherent and fluid. 21 Savage continues to be one of the most improved rappers of the past half-decade, delivering a great verse detailing his guns, wealth, and distrust of people who get too close. Baby Tate gets a measly 4 bars, but serves as a nice break from the continuous flows with a whispery, sensual performance, only for the track to suddenly change 2.5 minutes in. The beat switches to a slower, bass-heavy, almost R&B-esque instrumental where JID gets the sole verse and goes off with a very smooth delivery. Plenty of flow switches and multi-syllabic rhyme schemes. It's a masterclass of a track, and it's not even the best here. And the second and final single, Dance Now, featuring Kenny Mason, is just another fantastic track, heavily showcasing JID's phenomenal wordplay and blending that with the same chameleonic personality. Unlike Surround Sound, the beat is completely stagnant for this one, bit more bass heavy of a banger, but still has the ticking hi-hat. But again, this track is all lyrics, all wordplay, all the time. Me trying to list every single incredible double entendre and hidden meaning would constitute its own video, so I'm not even going to do that. What I am going to say though, go listen to this track for yourself, one of his best, period. Now for the rest of the tracks. Opener Galaxy is less than a minute long, serving as a simple introduction, and opens much in the same way as the Never Story did, although a little bit more serene and honestly pretty beautiful. The synths ring up peacefully while the vocals harmonize very well to create a gentle R&B atmosphere. It transitions flawlessly, so it does its good job well enough in the track list. Raydar picks up the tempo a little bit more, giving us everything we've already been teased with thanks to those singles, but with a bit more energy and vivacity. And man, this is just a fun track through and through. JID's performance is as expressive as ever, doing a lot of flexing and also critiquing other rappers only in it for the clout and the money over this bubbly bass and brittle hi-hat, but much like Surround Sound, the track undergoes a beat switch, and it's almost a completely different song. Even down to the lyrics, which he seemed to hint at on the second half of the second verse, this time tackling black history and the corrupt system. But instead of wallowing in the past, he tries to shine light on possible solutions to unite. The beat that changes is way more dirty and intense to suit this more serious lyrical theme, reminds me of DNA from Kendrick Lamar's Damn. The beat changes a third time in the middle of that last verse to a more stripped back and bare beat with a somber piano. It is such a journey of a track and is very well done. Crack Sandwich starts off with this eerie piano over pulsating synth that kind of makes me think it's going to be a filthy banger, and it kind of gets there. It doesn't quite reach the same magnitude I was expecting, but that doesn't make it bad at all. It's got a bit of a nostalgic vibe to it. The snare pounding paired with the aforementioned piano really amplify that feeling to me. Plus this hook where JID gets a bit more melodious, very light harmonies, it's really hypnotizing as his fantastic flow and charisma ring out again, rapping about his family dynamic and even how they were arguing and even getting into brawls, yet how they formed a strong bond over all that. It's an optimistic turn on an often sensitive subject, and I really enjoy it. Can't Punk Me featuring EARTHGANG is probably the most rambunctious track yet, with this skipping and slapping hi-hat and effervescing bass, all culminating with that energetic, rapid-fire delivery hook. Each member of EARTHGANG gets their own verse, and my god, they kill it. In my opinion, they actually surpass JID. Although that may just be because they take up the majority of the track, but I don't know, it's one of my favorite EARTHGANG performances, period. Such a fun and uplifting song, definitely a highlight. Kody Blue 31 opens up with this gross, garbled, staticky mess that sounds like a TV that's struggling to connect to the satellite, and that's the audio that comes out of it. When the beat does eventually come in, it's very slow with these moody background singers, hearty smacks of the snare and minimal bass, just feels like a very downtrodden beat as a whole. JID's first verse is actually sung, which didn't come as a surprise to me hearing the beat, but it sure did when I heard how solid his singing voice is. And when that chorus comes in being assisted by the strings, it just becomes so decadent and luxurious, very satisfying. JID returns to the rapping on the second verse, which is way more hard-hitting as he's not as lively as he was, and when you pay attention to these lyrics, it kinda explains why, being about a friend named Kody, who tragically died at a young age, and how JID wants the family not to linger in the past, but swang on, as the chorus says. Very touching track. Bruddanem featuring Lil Durk is one of the smoothest tracks on the entire album. I love the buoyant bass, jubilant work juxtaposed with the more eerie piano and hard-hitting snare and hi-hat. JID kicks off the track in a more melodious fashion, which has been working pretty much perfectly every time it's included on the record. This is no exception, especially when the strings come in for the post-chorus. When he actually gets to rap his verse, it's so bouncy and alive, complementing the almost poppier beat very well. Lil Durk has a fantastic performance too, as both rappers just go on about the strong connections they have with their brothers, doing anything in their power for them. Nice song here. Sistanem, the longest track here, just barely scraping past 6 minutes, and this is a fitting sister track, literally, to Bruddanem, where this track is dedicated to his sister, who he's mentioned as one of the most important people in his life, and these verses paint the history of their relationship. The hook here has some gorgeous harmonies courtesy of James Blake, while the beat feels very serious and proper with a simple hissing hi-hat and more crisp bass. JID matches the beat here, just riding over it nicely. Feels like a great centerpiece for the album. I enjoy it a lot. Can't Make You Change featuring LENNOX, much like that feature would imply, is a bit of a sensual, slow song with groovy bass and plucky background instruments, along with that impactful punch of the percussion. Very fun beat here as LENNOX takes the chorus and the bridge, and her powerful voice really resonates as she repeats the song title in a very heartfelt manner. But I also like when the beat ramps up a little bit and gets slightly faster for JID's third verse. It's so effortless and catchy. While the track does have a bit of a carelessly fun attitude, the lyrics are a bit deeper than that, about JID's inability to evolve himself, yet recognizes the challenges he will likely face in his future, and ultimately realizes his facets are there to stay. Love the depth of this one, very good track. Stars featuring Yasin Bey, more commonly known as Mos Def, and this track starts off by introducing the luxurious beat with glistening synths that feel like twinkling stars and a slow rattling hi-hat that makes the track feel so majestic. And that beat lasts for all of 32 seconds before this oscillating bass makes its way in, which eventually gets added on to this hissing snare. It's a simple beat and hits very hard. JID has a satisfying flow that of course works well here, but when Yasin comes in, the track changes to a more percussion-driven beat. The shriller hissing of the hi-hat dominates the mix, accented by his clearly aged yet still wise delivery. Fantastic verse on his part too, and an all-around great track. Just in Time featuring Lil Wayne and Kenny Mason again brings the album right back into banger territory, and I love it. I love the arpeggiating strings dancing elegantly behind the rupturous bass and clapped hiss of the hi-hat. Such a hard-hitting beat. JID handles the first verse and delivers the same level of consistency yet again, like I almost just feel like a broken record talking about how good he is. Wayne is a perfect featured choice for JID. They have similar, more nasally cadences, and it makes Wayne sound spectacular, and Kenny Mason's chorus is a nice way to segue between these verses. Such a fun tune. Money is probably the sole weak spot for me on this album. Not even that it's a bad track at all, but I just don't feel like it provides much to the grand scope of the album. I mean, the lyrics you can probably guess. There's a few extra little messages sprinkled throughout the two verses. Yet even despite that, JID manages to be a captivating MC going through some more creative flows. It is still a great performance. I am just not the biggest fan of the chorus. The harmonies are well done, but I think its execution is a bit of a pace killer. Overall, my least favorite, but still not bad. Goes to show how good the record is. Better Days featuring Jonta Austin, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, is one of the most solid vibes on the entire record. I love the popping snare, buttery smooth bass, and gentle synths and piano resting in the background. Such a calming yet feel-good instrumental. JID brings a very snappy flow and welcome energy to the track, really making this song something you can subconsciously swing your head along to. And it has these lyrics that have some blissful optimism to them, with JID rapping about how there's definitely been better days, but he knows he's still got love from his family and friends, even if nothing's ever perfect. Really like this one. And finally, the closer, Lauder 2, featuring Raven Lenae and Aaron Allen Kane, which is actually a sequel to the first Lauder track released on the Never Story, and much like that original, this is a dirty, grimy cut with dense staccato bass, bright twinkly synths, and hi-hat. Not sure how well it works as the closer, but I'll talk about that here in a bit. With this track though, I do really like it. I love JID's energy across the track. It feels lively and energetic, which tones down for the chorus, with Raven Lenae giving a soulful performance over the stripped down beat along with a breathy one for the bridge. Very nice. Lyrically, this track also feels like a continuation, where on the original he was dreaming about going big. On this one, he's older and more experienced and is now speaking about those struggles having since made it big. Very nice cut here. Now, before I get to the overall thoughts, I'm going to make some quick remarks here about 2007. This track was the intended closer of the Forever story, but it didn't make it due to clearance issues. JID also mentioned this track is necessary to understanding the whole album's story, so just keep that in mind if you go listen to the album. After listening for myself, yeah, this is definitely a required listen. It is such a shame that this is not on the core album. It's 7.5 minutes long and extremely dense. Highly recommend checking it out for yourself. Overall, I mean, the Forever story is damn near perfect. There is not a single dull moment on this album, in my opinion. Some albums that are released after extended breaks can have a tendency to be disappointments or failing to live up to the hype. I think within the 4 years he's been away, JID's only perfected himself. Every single performance on here is great, the flows and the charisma are infectious, the beats, while not the most mind-blowing, are very catchy and play to JID's strengths extremely well. I did have that one gripe with that song that kind of prevents me from giving this the perfect 10 that I know is possible, but you better be damn sure you'll see this very high on my year-end list. I'm feeling a 9.5 out of 10 on this album. Well guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.